I have come to the conclusion that most human beings are undeserving of a brain. Now, by this I mean, of course, their upper brain, their reasoning centers, not just the ability to have a brain capable of allowing their body to function. Here's my thoughts. All animals have some brain. All animals, not like little tiny organisms necessarily, like bacteria, but they have some sort of neurological system that controls their body or regulates them in some way. My thought is this: what makes us different from lower forms of life isn't the fact that we can remember shit or sense shit. Anything can do that. A cat can look at something and, memorize basic tasks. A dog can learn how to sit up and, roll over and shit. That's what the human beings are doing. That's what the vast majority of humans do. We memorize a bunch of shit. You go to school, you memorize a bunch of shit. You go to work and you memorize a bunch of shit, and you do these different tasks. You watch TV and you memorize a bunch of shit that they want you to memorize on TV. It's just a conglomeration of different memories, and you put them together and you form them into some coherent manner, but it's nothing more than memory and carrying out tasks that other people have designed for you, other people who do use their brain. Now, Satanism would tell you that this is essentially a good thing because it, the strong shall overcome the weak, and, the smart will overcome the dumb. Personally, I think it's the reason why most humans don't even deserve to be humans. They deserve to be demoted to the rank of animals. Now, I'm not saying we should enslave them and stuff. I just think they shouldn't have been born in the first place. They shouldn't have been born humans. They should have been born animals. Quite frankly, to tell the truth, a lot of animals are probably more intelligent than a lot of humans. An octopus, if you show an octopus a crab on a line and you feed the crab, then you try doing it again, you put a little card behind it, a little white card, and shock it when it tries to eat it. If you do that enough times, eventually it won't try to take the one behind the white card. But there are humans that wouldn't even have enough intelligence to undergo that routine task. What makes us different is our ability to think for ourselves, philosophy, art, music, all of these different ways of expression that can be truly us. Now, you can draw off other people in your music or art or your philosophies, but the ability to conglomerate those or to make your own assumptions, your own conclusions, your own teachings, your own beliefs. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I see some people trying to do, but that's what I see the vast majority of people not doing. They're not trying to do that. They simply memorize a bunch of shit off the TV. They sit in front of the boob tube 3-4 hours a day and memorize that. They, from age 2 or 3, you're teaching your kid the language. They're memorizing that. Then they learn how to use that language to get what they want, and then they learn how to use it to communicate with others for what they need. And they become members of this industrial process. And it doesn't matter what kind of government the country that they're raised up in has. It doesn't matter whether it's communist or socialist or nationalist, Nazi country, capitalist, anarchist. It doesn't matter. They're still being exploited. They allow themselves to be exploited because they're too stupid to do anything else. They're stupid. They're idiots. There's no other way to get around it. Now, it would be very easy for those people to start thinking for themselves, but they've been so trained up, and I don't blame them. I'm not trying to make it sound as though I blame them, like their genetics are bad or something. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with their upbringing. They've been brought up in this cookie-cutter society in which nobody's given any freedom of expression. And you look at people like John Lennon or anything like that, and they'll tell you, you're putting people in this cookie-cutter system where, there's no self-expression. They're just made these little pawns and then put in this process. And if you don't do exactly as they want you to do, then they label you dumb and throw you out. When, in fact, the people who aren't doing what they want are the true masters of the world, the ones that know true intelligence. All those problem children, all those ADHD-addled kids that you see that don't want to take their pills and don't want to sit down in class, those are the intelligent ones. Those are the ones who should be the president, the Senate, and everybody should be made up only of people with ADHD. The government should be strictly... You shouldn't even be allowed to run for office unless you are a problem child. You shouldn't be allowed. Because, you look throughout history, who are the great inventors and innovators? Who are the great peacemakers? Who are the great peacemongers? Look at John Lennon. He was totally addled in the head. Yeah, he's looked upon as one of the greatest people who ever lived. You think Alexander the Great was some normal dude? He sat down in class and, never raised trouble or anything? I think it was Aristotle was his teacher. He probably gave him quite a handful of problems. You think that he just sat down all day? No, he was running around the woods like shooting animals with a bow and shit. You know, we've taken and we've even cheapened society even more than ancient societies, because now we've got this artificial system in which we don't even allow people to be natural. It is not human nature to be domesticated. Look at animals. They're not meant to be domesticated. We can domesticate them for our own purposes, but they're not really meant to be that way. Genetically, they're not predisposed to being domesticated. We can make them that way over a long period of time. What do you think that the governments and the leaders of this world are trying to do to the human race? They are trying to genetically modify us into a domesticated species by making sure that people who do not do as they are supposed to do, that means sit down in class, learn, memorize all this shit, be smart, go to college, work, and die. Anybody who doesn't fit into that either has to get booted out of society or ends up like a homeless hermit muttering to themselves on the street. Unless they win the lottery, they're nothing for their entire life. The chances of them having children are less. Genetically, they are predisposing the entire population of the world to domestication. And it's not going to happen anytime soon, but over the course of the next 10, 20,000 years, we're going to end up a race like cows or goats. Do you really want to be a cow or a goat or a sheep? They call them sheeple for a reason. That's what we're going to end up being. We are going to end up being a domesticated species. What's going to happen is there will be two human races, an over race that controls everything and an under race that does all the work. And some people would say, well, that's just natural progression, but I mean, I'll disagree with Satanism on this one and say that it's insane. I think the idea of the strong overcoming the weak, very true. But the thing is, if the people at large become strong, if they all rise up, if they all have that intelligence, then there's no longer a differentiation. There's no reason for them to be enslaved, because they are as smart as the ones that would otherwise be in control. They have become the strong. It's like, a lot of times Satanists get flack because they seem to indicate that they would support, like Nazis, like, yeah, they were just the strong, they were overcoming the weak. But the thing is, when the Nazis lost, when the people rose up, when the Americans and Russians came in, that was a show of strength. Revolt and rebellion against authority is a sign of strength, not of weakness. You're weak for being enslaved. When you rise up above that, you are no longer weak. You deserve the title of strong. You now deserve the intelligence of a human being. But the average human being isn't willing to protest, let alone riot, let alone kill for what they believe in. You know, if they want to kill for what they believe in, the government tells them, oh, the proper way to do that is to join the military and to kill for what we believe in as a country. Oh, you can't kill for what you individually like, because then you're a murderer. But if you take a gun and you go over to Iraq and kill a bunch of people over there, oh, that's fine. Because for some bizarre reason, we've just got higher reasoning than you, because we're in the government. Doesn't that sound strange to you? Oh, we're different from you. That's why you can't make that choice yourself. That seems strange to me. Just a little thought there. Unfortunately, you can't do more than 10-minute videos on YouTube. I think I'm probably hitting that right now. So, yeah, I get pissed off at the human race quite often. Some days I get pissed off more than others. This happens to be one of them. Peace.